Welcome in everybody to Leading Off right here on Fantasy Pros. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That, of course, is Dinger Dan Harris, and it's you, and we're talking all things baseball this morning, as we do always here on Fantasy Pros on the MLB channel. Make sure if you haven't already, subscribe. There's still plenty of baseball left. So if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome, and for everybody else who joins us every single day, thank you. And Dan's a little fuzzy because clearly the birthday went very well yesterday, so he's just kind of staggering in. But no, Dan Harris, you had the classic dad birthday, which is where everyone wishes you a happy birthday and then goes about their day. That's pretty much it, right?
I did. First of all, am I still blurry
You're
on the
getting
screen?
better. You're
Oh,
getting
God.
better.
The
It's getting
worst.
better.
I don't know why. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yes,
I blame the state you live in.
It's fine. It's true. I'm the only person allowed on the internet here in New Hampshire. Yeah, this was a very typical dad birthday where I was like, brunch with the wife, like whatever. And then it hit like noon and nobody remembered it was my birthday. Like my kids were still the same. My wife was still the same. Everybody forgot. And I was like, all right, that's about how it works. But whatever, man. I knew. I'm old. Yeah, sorry about that, Mr. Buster.
You're better now. Now you're crystal clear.
Is it? Am I crystal?
Yeah.
I don't know why, guys. I'm here. All right. I'm here. I'm talking. You can hear me. Deal with
I
it,
love our
all right?
people. Look at this. This is another one
Oh,
from Pickles.
God.
8-bit Dinger Dan this morning. You know
Oh,
what?
God.
8-bit us would be amazing.
I'm
I'd love to play
sorry.
Tecmo Bowl. That would be
Oh, me
fantastic.
too.
Oh, goodness. So let's get to it. Before we even get too far into the show, I want to wish a best of luck today to our listener of the show, Don Osborne, who is a great fantasy player, a fantasy black book reader for many years, an avid watcher of the program. He is having a heart procedure today. And he said to me, hey, before I go in tomorrow, I'm still watching Leading Off because I said, hey, good luck tomorrow. I saw a social media post. And he's like, oh, don't worry. I'm still watching Leading Off before I go in there. And I said, oh, that's unbelievable. So we are the solace for people in life, which is scary to a certain
Yeah.
degree, but very prideful at the same time. So, Don, best of luck to you, baby. Everything's going to be okay. Let's go through today in Shohei, or should I say yesterday in Shohei. 0 for 4 with a walk and 3 Ks, the hat trick. So, not a good night. The OPS is still 1040, so who cares? JD Davis, let's check the special meter. This is a new segment here on the show that I've created. The special meter. JD Davis yesterday 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. On the special meter, that rates as, let me see, not very special. So there you go. So let's get to the 3 ups and the 3 downs. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, 3 up, Will Smith hits a walk-off homer, and the Dodgers top the Giants. Luis Garcia of the Houston Astros, 8 Ks over 6 shutout frames. Jose Altuve, not 1 but 2 solo bombs, continuing to have a great rebound season. I love the villain, embrace the villain. And speaking of villains, the Yankees got a save. Aroldis Chapman gave up a home run to McCutchen, but he did get his first save since June 20th. How you doing? In case you're keeping track, that is yesterday was the 20th of July, so it's been a month since he's been able to do that. So Dan, your thoughts on the ups and including Aroldis Chapman? Is he back, Dan?
I wouldn't say back, but I would say not completely irrelevant. Yeah, I would. I mean, the velocity was there. Gave up a home run to McCutchen, who, by the way, I think has 17 home runs on the season. We don't really talk about him, but
no.
he's having a nice. I mean, he's not, the batting average isn't great, but he's got 6 steals, 17 homers, pretty impressive. But whatever, man. I'll take a save. I'll take a save with strikeouts like from Chapman for sure. So I'm okay with that. Luis Garcia has been great. I'm getting a little worried about the innings here, Joe. I really am, right? Because he's at 91 and a third. And last year he was at 12 and a third. And the year before that, he was at roughly 100, 105 or something like that.
He threw 1. The year before he threw 1 innings.
Right.
He went out there and
no.
said, I'm good. No, I'm
in 2019, he threw 105. So, I mean, that's there. So he can bump up. But I'm starting to get worried a little bit about these guys with the innings. But Garcia, in terms of performance, has been fantastic. Yeah. So, with that, I definitely feel fine about that. And, Will Smith, whatever, man. He's like one of 6 catchers who you don't mind rostering, and that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, God bless the 2-catcher league. What a brilliant
why
idea.
is that the industry standard, by the way? Is it because the guys who said everything in La Rotisserie decided that they would have 2 catchers? Because I never really understood it, but it's the format.
Ew.
It's fair.
Ew, that's
It
it.
was
I got
fair.
I got nothing else.
I'll take it.
I teased Craig Mish because yesterday we had him on the Betting Pro show and we were talking about Cy Youngs. If Jacob DeGrom, for some reason the worst should happen, he's like, what about if Alex Reyes, had a perfect save season, right? Went from the beginning of and then last night he blew his save, and I texted this morning, you're a jinx, Mish. Yeah. You're a huge jinx.
That was your bold prediction too, right? That he went.
I know, and so we both ate it yesterday on that one. Chris Bryant left with a hamstring fatigue. I know, it's very tough when your hamstrings are fatigued. I'm not even sure what that means. All I know is a lot of people were speculating he had been dealt when he left the game.
Yes.
Not as of yet, but the hamstring fatigue is another new one there. John Means, not the best return. 5 runs on 7 hits over 5 innings and a loss to the Rays. Dan, you mentioned yesterday on the show that you were a little concerned with the return of John Means. Hadn't pitched in a while. Also, what's it going to be where you can't use the sticky icky? And this was not his best work. So, are you practicing patience or are you practicing impatience at this juncture in the season?
I'm more concerned than I would otherwise be with a guy making his first start off the IL. Usually I would just kind of relax about it and say, it's his first start. Let's see what happened. But with a guy like Means, who we joked about yesterday, there's been some pretty clear evidence that he uses some sticky stuff and his spin rates were kind of elite and they were drastically down yesterday. Drastically. I mean, we're talking, I feel like the barometer for me is roughly 100 RPMs. Okay. When there's more than 100 RPMs, I'm like, okay, that's noticeable. When it's 75, I'm like, well, it fluctuates a little bit. Over 100 is kind of line. His were down. Let's just say this. His last start, his spin rate on his fastball, we'll just go the fastball, was 2474. Before that, it was 2500. So a pretty big baseline. Yesterday, it was 2260. Like that's a massive, massive drop in spin rate. That makes me worried, Joe. Extremely worried. Now, he's got a cake schedule coming up. I think he's got the Marlins in his next start. He's got the Tigers, who are hitting a little bit, but the Tigers after that, I'd probably throw him out there still if I had him.
Well,
but
he's only got 1, maybe 2 starts left before the trade deadline.
That's also true.
That's the problem. The problem is, like, if Baltimore's going to cash in, they'd be like, hey, Johnny boy, maybe slip
find
this
a way.
between the gloves somewhere. Do what you got to do. Make things
Bribe
happen.
Bribe the umps. But I am concerned a little bit. I'm not jumping, off the cliff or anything like that. But this is more concerning than it otherwise would be with a guy who struggles in his first start back.
All right, let's get to the stuff. Everybody likes stuff. So Chris Sale, pretty much unhittable in Double-A yesterday.
Yeah.
So fastball sitting at 97, touched 98, had 6 Ks there, 1 walk. Kind of the antithesis of the Carlos Carrasco start where everybody touched him, and it was not good. You might have to report it to the authorities. He got touched so much in that game. But again, I don't know how much you want to take out of either of these, to be honest with you, because these are guys working back from injury, and like in spring training, you see stats where guys are just trying to get the feel for things again. The velocity is a great indicator for Sale, but once again, it's the feel for pitching that is more of a concern. Chris Sale's a hell of a competitor, though. Just don't, put him in a V-neck shirt. Everything else will be fine. But I think this is, once again, an addition to that Red Sox rotation that is a huge difference maker in that division because outside of Garrett Cole, right, there's nobody else even close to the ilk of Chris Sale in that division pitching right now. So that would be huge for the Red Sox. And in a season where I don't think any of us saw this coming, Chris Sale and the Red Sox look like they are playoff bound, at least at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to deny that right now. And yeah, I agree. I don't want to overreact. I'm not that worried about what we saw from Carrasco. Again, I think he gave up 5 runs in an inning and 2/3 or something like that. That's not good. He gave up 3 home runs, obviously. But I'm not, as long as the velocity is there, as long as he comes out healthy, I feel like Carrasco has a long enough track record for me to not be overly concerned about if he's a little rusty in a rehab start. With Sale, though, I'm willing to get excited about this. I mean, again, you mentioned the velocity. It was there. I don't think he gave a hit. He struck out, 6? This is something where now let's pour some cold water on it. There is still plenty of time for setbacks. We have gotten really excited. There is. I mean, he may be back.
I know, but my favorite thing is your ability to always take whatever is like a happy thing and somehow bring it down.
That's my entire life. I know, that is my entire life. Is to make sure. Go ahead.
Practicality is one thing, but just like, Dan, you won the lottery, but the taxes.
The problem is, right, I'm going to have to buy a car, and then I'm going to pay taxes on the car. Yeah, no, look, this is the thing. We have a guy like Sal. Here's the deal. Ready? You know what Wednesdays are? Trade chart. That's the day.
Trade chart
That's
Wednesday.
the day where I go. I have moved Sale ahead of Carrasco, and you know that I was excited about Carrasco by like a spot or two. Okay, but I moved him up drastically with this start. I am excited. I am just saying somebody might go out there and be like, Chris Sale, did you see what he did? And if Tumo were here, Tumo would be like, trade Jacob deGrom for Chris Sale, because look, I'm not stop with the optimist commenters. I am a realist. That is what I am. Okay, I don't allow myself to get too high or too low. I just like to say, let me see. Regardless, okay, Chris Sale is on the trade chart. You can trade for him this week, but again, this is a long road back. It's nearing the finish line. There are still plenty of times for him to trip, so I'm pumping the brakes a little bit.
Okay, well, to that point, would you after this?
Yeah.
If you're a team that's in first place, you really like your team, things are going well, but maybe you'd like to acquire something else. Do you try to trade Chris Sale right now? Because after this start, his value is very high. I always say guys coming back from injury, their value is always at its peak because it's, despite your take on it, it's all optimism, right? It is always all optimism. The guy's coming back. He's healthy. He's going to be great. Everything's going to be great. But we all know it is not always as simple as that. But do you think this is an opportunity to trade him down, or Dan?
First of all, this is probably why you should watch us live, because I'm just getting absolutely completely roasted right now in the comments.
It's nice that it's you and not me for a change. You're everybody's favorite. Everybody loves you. I'm the villain on the show.
Well,
I'm the guy who says JD Davis isn't special. I'm the guy who doesn't like this. It's a nice change of pace.
It's true. Way to be. Congratulations. I've taken over sort of the downer mantle.
Memes of Dan Harris.
Oh, goodness.
Like Debbie Downer on SNL, where you just play wah, wah, wah.
Look like that. Yeah. Here's the deal. I would float Sale. Sure. Why not? Okay. But I at the same time, if I roster Sale, I'm in first place. I'm probably not looking to deal him necessarily. I think it's something where if Sale comes back and if he avoids any setbacks, which right now it's been great, then you're right, Joe. You might have an actual top 10 starting pitcher, because we don't see Chris Sale pitch and not succeed. That just doesn't happen right now. We haven't seen it. And other than the fact that, again, when you come back, it's usually command's lacking a little bit when you come back from a TJ. So I whatever. But regardless, the bottom line is this: I'm very optimistic about it. I'm just saying, you're right. People usually get really, really excited about this, especially after a start like this. You want to float them. You want to see if you can get right now like a top 20. If I could swap them for a top,
would you want Freddie Peralta or Chris Sale?
Freddie Peralta, and it's not close. For right now, it's not. When he comes back, when Chris Sale comes back and starts in the major leagues, then I'm going to say that we're pretty even about right there. That's where I'm going to be looking about that, which is like a top 20-ish starter given Peralta's innings. But right now, that's a start of what, 3 1/3, 3 2/3, whatever it is. Fantastic. I'm really excited about it. We are not there yet. We are not close to there yet. Everybody chill out is the way I'm sort of doing. So you can swap him for Freddie Peralta, do it right now. For me, no hesitation.
All right, let's move on to the standouts besides that rant, because that was a standout rant. Look at you taking over the rants and everything.
You're
taking all my gimmicks here on this show.
I know.
You took over the grumpy old guy. You took over the guy who hates everything, the ranter, all of it in one fell swoop.
After my birthday, I think I entered into the officially really old territory.
Welcome to 41, right?
Correct.
Is that where we're at? Yeah,
exactly.
Get off my lawn. Early 40s.
True.
You went over from 40 to just early 40s, and this is what happens. Welcome to. Then again, I am 74, as we mentioned yesterday.
Very old.
James Caparelli in 6 shutout innings, 7 Ks against the Angels. Josh Bell, your favorite guy in the world, did a pinch hit home run. See if he's in the lineup today. Wade Miley, a very good start for him. He tired at the end, but the Reds were able to hang on there, barely. 8 Ks against the Mets. Jose Abreu, by the way, leading the league in RBIs in the month of June. Just want to point that out for everybody who's unhappy with Jose Abreu. 3 for 5 with another dinger yesterday. Shane McClanahan, 7 Ks against the Orioles. Altuve, we mentioned his 2 home runs. So that's 22 on the year. Tuki Toussaint, 5 Ks against the Pods. Chris Taylor, 2 homers, 4 RBI of zone. And we talked about Garcia's good outing too. But where there's studs, there's duds. John Means wasn't the only one. Aaron Nola, 4 runs, 5 Ks against the Yankees. Alex Reyes with the blown save. Here's a question for you. Can the Phillies really compete if Aaron Nola doesn't start turning things around to be more consistent? Because, Wheeler's been great, but that bullpen sucks, and the rest of the rotation is not great. So as good as that lineup is, Maybe Dombrowski goes out there and acquires another pitcher. I don't know, but it feels like they have to if they really want to compete. And Aaron Nola right now is becoming a dicey hold in keeper leagues because he's been very frustrating. I have him in a dynasty league at 30 something dollars, 35 or something like that. It's tough, even in head to head points. I'm looking at that return on investment and going, is it worth it? So, what are your thoughts on Aaron Nola right now?
I've been trying to remain optimistic for the most part on Nola all year because, for the most part, I maybe in the draft season I let myself buy into it a little more than I wanted to as it went on, but I've never really viewed him as somebody who's like, man, this guy is just going to be my absolute dominant ace. There's a lot of things to still like in what he's doing when you look at his numbers. I mean,
well,
for the
he's always
most part,
been a 1A. Like he's never,
yeah,
he is a 1A who has one runs where he goes on a run of 3 or 4 starts where he looks dominant, and then he has a couple blow up starts, and you go, "What's wrong?" He's like Barrios, like,
right.
and honestly, like right now, that's the thing. You look at those two pitchers, I put them in the same category, and maybe Barrios has put himself a little bit ahead Nola this year because he's been better, I think, more consistent, even though the high points of Nola have been
Yeah.
higher. That's the problem. It's like, what do you want? Maybe in head to head, you want the high points, and maybe in season long roto, you want Barrios for a little bit more stability, but those guys are a little frustrating, and that's why you really can't build your rotation with those two guys at the top.
Yeah, the bottom line is he's just giving up a lot of hard contact, like way
Mm-hmm.
more than he usually does in his career. I don't necessarily know if I have a reason for that. Like his fastball, generally speaking, does not get hit that hard. Everything really, when you're looking at it, is just getting hit a little bit harder than it usually does, other than his curveball, which has been fine. His changeup's usually awesome. Batters are hitting 259 against it this year. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot when you Nola and you have a really good changeup. Look, I think in the end, the Phillies, as a general matter, because you mentioned them, they're in second place right now. Kudos to them, because I feel like every time I look at the Phillies, they're a complete disaster, right? Like they're
Well,
suffering
yeah,
some
but they're also
hard,
competing against the Nats and the Braves now, besides the
and the
Mets, and
Mets
those
who cannot run away with it because of all the injuries
everyone's
anyway.
hurt too, right? So I mean, there's no reason if you're the Phillies where you say we're in this. I mean, if I was them, I'd
Oh
be
yeah,
adding too.
absolutely. And I would. And again, with Nola, though, for real life and fantasy, I think it's fair, Joe, that you can't look at him like an ace pitcher right now. Certainly not for fantasy, but even, his first start back, he was on the COVID list, weirdness, right? But he hasn't been right the whole season. So in the
Mm-hmm.
end, I can't pinpoint exactly what's wrong with him because other than that, he's giving up a lot of hard contact, and his bread and butter is his fastball, his changeup. They're getting hit a lot harder than they used to. So I don't know what the deal is with him, but I agree with you that A, he's not a fantasy ace. B, he's not really like a stud ace of a regular major league team this year. And if the Phillies are going to compete, and they should be buyers because that NL East is wide open with the injury to Acuna, with the injury to DeGrom and now Lindor, they should go for it, but they've got to add somebody legitimate.
Do you like bread and butter?
Do I like bread and butter?
Yeah, you're a
Sure.
fan of bread and butter.
Yeah.
I like toast with butter. I like when it's melty. I don't like when you have toast and it's not hot anymore, and you put the butter on and it just sits there on a clump on the top. I don't care for that. You can take that right away from the table. I don't want anything to do with it.
That's fine. When we go out to breakfast, I'll make sure I remember that then. I'll be like,
the only thing that could make this show better is if we were having breakfast every morning. I mean, if Dan and I were to like meet in a diner every day and do this show, that's probably like the only thing that could make this one tick above where it is right now. That's
to be honest, if you
stuff.
and I met, if you and I had breakfast together every single day, this is pretty much what it would be like, other than staring into a camera. We would be like, man, what about this Nola? I mean, what's the deal with Nola here?
It's like that Jerry Seinfeld thing. Comedians in cars getting coffee. Like that's pretty much.
That's true.
And Dan and I have yet to be in the same room together ever.
That's actually true. We have not actually met in person.
Yeah.
We will fix that. Can I mention one other guy that we went through? I do want to mention Bell, because Bell was a guy who actually I meant to sort of look at the sheet and update it since the beginning of June, Joe, because I was basically at the point of dropping him, right? Like I basically was like, I'm done with Josh Bell. He's sitting for Ryan Zimmerman. There would be a grouchy waitress. That's absolutely right. He was sitting for Ryan Zimmerman all the time. Anytime, again, they went up against the lefty since the beginning of June. So we're talking almost 2 months right now. He's batting 302 with a 362 on base percentage and a 532 slugging percentage. Like he has really, really turned it around. And I don't think I fully realized it because I just kind of said, well.
You know why nobody realized it? Because in June, nobody was talking about anything except Kyle Schwarber when it came to the Nats. And Kyle Schwarber was doing something that nobody had seen, and it was crazy. So there was no time to talk about anything else because every day Kyle Schwarber was hitting 5 home runs.
And he's striking out just 18% of the time. Like that. Yeah. Josh Bell is a guy who you should now have in your lineup pretty much every single week. And again, they're so committed to him now that they even said if Ryan Zimmerman does get hot, we're going to find a way to play Bell and just put him in the outfield. So that, Bell is a guy who I think people should. Man, I'm sorry. Would you hear me randomly laughing if you were listening to this on a podcast? I'm very sorry. We have the ability for Joe to take comments in our YouTube channel and put them on our screen. And Wonky Penguin, who is one of our original listeners, basically just mentioned if we quote, we could meet in a diner, but we'd probably get food poisoning, as in I'm a Debbie Downer. I think I'd like to retire from this podcast now because
my kids love that sketch, by the way. They think it's the funniest thing ever.
Great.
All right, let's continue on with the injuries because there's always a bunch. Bryant's hamstring fatigue. So you guys watch out for the hamstring fatigue. Alcantara placed on the bereavement list. Unfortunately, his mom passed away, so very sad news. Our best goes out to him. Yeah. Zach Eflin to the IL with patella tendonitis, so another starting pitcher there for the Phillies. When it comes to the Royals, too, they're going to be big sellers here. They lost Duffy, they lost Singer, both go to the IL. Yeah. If I'm a team man, Whit Merrifield is the guy I want, and I'm willing to give up a ton to get him because that guy in a pennant race would be magic to watch.
Yeah.
Carlos Santana, you could circle him. He is gone. I'm telling you right now. He could help a lot of teams. Also, Jose Peraza goes to the IL like everybody else on the Mets. Bobby Bradley had back spasms. Justin Turner got hit on with a pitch, and Max Muncy left with right shoulder contusion. So that's kind of the injuries there. Before we go to the dingers, and it was a quiet night for the dingers. Only 6 home run calls after 20. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. Goes up, it comes down.
And no Red Sox Blue Jays, which probably would have been about 7 more home runs, right?
Yeah. It was like 22 runs in that game the night before. Yeah. But I want to tell you all about Manscaped. You know about Manscaped. Don't pretend like you don't. Don't sit there after all these months and pretend like you don't know what this is about and you don't know what's coming here on the show. You know what you need, and you need the Lawnmower 4.0. Look at you. Look at you, you hairy beast, you hairy animal, you. Go get the Lawnmower 4.0. I don't even want to look at you. You're so hairy. You go out there. It's got the longest battery life ever, the 4K LED light. It's got, of course, the new guard lengths 1 through 4. And it's finally going to take care of all of that messy, gross hair that's all over your body. Look at you. Look at you. Have some respect for yourself. Use that code leading off, 20% off, free shipping. And, of course, that code leading off, manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. And we'll thank you as well, because enough is enough. It's July. We've been telling you all this time. It's like 6 months here, and you're still hairy as you know what. All right.
Yeah.
Randy is at 15 after calling CJ Cron yesterday. A rare CJ Cron home run. Pygo had Jose Abreu, some other home run calls. Jay Wong, 11, had up to 7 now. Smalls up to 7. Moonshine Runners up to 7. JP 34. By the way, everybody, you got mentioned. The Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks and the Dinger calls got mentioned in the Big T meeting yesterday about what a grand success the Home Run Channel has become. And it's all about you guys. So once again, go to fantasypros.com/chat to get involved in Discord. Maybe you can't win it all, but maybe you get a good night where you have a couple we mention you on the show at the very least. And it's fun. It's just fun to say, hey, you know what? Maybe my fantasy team is done. Maybe my DFS sucks. All my wagers went to hell. And you know what? All I have left is home run calls. Well, we're here for you. That's what we have. All right, let's talk about the 8 games. Again, it's kind of a quiet slate tonight. The good chalk is the Houston Astros. I can't believe they're letting that guy Morgan pitch again. He's terrible for the Indians. Get in all your Houston Astros. Lance McCullers at 10.2, 10.1 on the other site. Robbie Ray is at 10.6, 9.9 on DK, 10.6 on FanDuel. And then you got Urias at 9.1, who's a little cheaper than both. Outside of that, man, there's just not a lot of pitching here. It is like that level. And then gross. You have one head-to-head game, but it's the White Sox and the Twins, which is always very volatile. So I'm running away from Pineda and Dylan Cease. I want nothing to do with it. I don't want anything to do with Cubs Cardinals either, with Wainwright and Hendricks. Your thoughts on any of those 4 outcome games there? Because I'm just gonna keep it simple tonight. We'll stack up some Toronto and Houston bats and try to get any of those pitchers I talked about. Try to make that work at the top with either Ray, McCullers, or Urias. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm probably going with McCullers personally. McCullers has been really good. He's been really good, and we don't really talk about him. Like, I can't remember the last time we mentioned him, just because he's just kind of quality good. I mean, look, I can't argue ever going with Robbie Ray, but I am terrified to go up after watching that last game with Stripling starting. And it's not because Stripling; they were just going that park when it's hot, especially now. It's not going to be that hot there apparently today. But when it's hot, I mean, just
so
get a pop up. That ball's going out. So I'm a little worried with Ray. I wouldn't hate it if he did it. I'm not going with Julio Urias. Just the Giants. I don't know, man. They just always find a way. I don't hate Kyle Hendricks. I know it's a 4-outcome game. I know we talked about it. And Wainwright at home is fine. Hendricks is just so solid. On FanDuel, though, 9.9, like, I can't pay that. It's just,
that's
it's
the thing.
too
The
much.
pricing
That's
doesn't
the problem.
make any sense.
Correct.
And Wainwright's always capable of being good or terrible.
You're right.
I mean, look, here's the thing. If you're desperate to play tournament tonight, play. If you want to just stay away, stay away. But if you're going to hit this slate, hit it simple and cash and be simple. I agree. McCullers, I think, is the way I would go. Even though Robbie Ray's been great, there is that little volatility in the ballpark. You got to worry about just a little, because when he's pitching in Florida, it's a little different than pitching in Colorado East, as I like to call Buffalo. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking. But we should, again, you're looking at the day slate too. There's some decent arms on there, but I don't know, man. I keep coming back to that Indians Houston game, and it is just really where I want to spend my money.
I think the biggest thing with that game, honestly, is that the Indians are really struggling right now. Not only is the win equity got to be there. I mean, they're minus 227 favorites, as they should be with Eli Morgan, as you mentioned. But Jose Ramirez does not look right now. I don't know whether it's since he's been hit by a pitch or something like that. He's getting a couple of days off. Their lineup, Franmil is there, but, even Bobby Bradley left yesterday. Like, their lineup is just really, they're like Bradley Zimmer is like one of their scary hitters now. Like, it's just really weak at this point with Eddie Rosario out. So it's a lineup you can pick on for the most part, especially, again, with Ramirez not being well. So with the fact that they've got such win equity, how good McCullers has been, and how the Indians lineup is just really weak at this moment, McCullers is my pick for sure.
If the Mets can't win the World Series, I'm kind of rooting for the Astros just because
I'm
a jerk. And I feel like it would be just like, that's right. That's right, everybody.
Yeah.
You think we're no good? You think we can't play baseball? Because it's all such overblown nonsense. Like I don't care if he had a Morse code machine in his pants, Jose Altuve. It doesn't mean he can't hit. Like, yes, that is probably going to be plucked from this show, and I'm sure going to be a very popular piece on Discord now today. But I'm telling you, man, like, enough is enough with these guys. What more do these guys have to do to prove to you that everybody steals signs? It's just how they were doing it. Get over it. It's not a big deal. It didn't mean they weren't good. Is it an advantage? Yes, but every team who steals signs, they just did it better, but they also should not have done what they've done because they told them don't do that anymore, and they did it anyway. But I don't know. I think baseball is always better when there's a villain. And typically it's always been the Yankees. And then when and the Red Sox were always kind of like the little brother, and then the Red Sox came and beat them, and then the Red Sox went on to win more championships in the last 20 years than the Yankees, which has been a very strange phenomenon, right? And now I feel like baseball doesn't really have a villain except for the Astros. And I think the better this team plays, the more they're in the playoffs, get to the World Series. I mean, the hard part is, a lot of people don't like the Dodgers either, like if the Dodgers represent, but Mets Astros would be certainly fun. Padres Astros would be fun. Milwaukee Astros, I don't know what the ratings would be, but it would be fun from a pitching standpoint because you get to see those three guys. But that's if you had to put your money on something right now, I still think it's the White Sox winning it all because I just think that team just has all the right pieces. Who do you think is the favorite right now in your opinion?
I think the Astros. I actually do. I think given that what their pitching is, given that, again, their lineup right now, when you go up and down, and again, they haven't.
And Bregman's coming back.
Bregman is coming back as well. And my preseason prediction, Joe, was Verlander comes back in the playoffs as a reliever and maybe as a closer or something like that, right? 12 months. There we go. Going to be that. I think it would probably be then. If Sale comes back, the Red Sox are really scary, especially if they add a starter, which they really need to. But yeah, the White Sox, especially with Eloy on the verge now and Luis Robert.
on the verge. They get Robert back.
Yeah.
They've done it with smoke and mirrors here. But and look, Aaron, I see in the chat saying, well, Giants get no respect. Well, that's because after Gossman, I don't believe in anything else. And Buster Posey's going to fade down the stretch like every catcher does because that's just the nature of the beast. And Alex Dickerson, as much as I like him, is not somebody that strikes fear into the hearts of opposing pitchers. And you're giving me Lynn, Giolito, Rodon, and Keuchel in a short series. That's going to be tough. That's going to be very tough. All right, let's get to our home run calls. Yesterday, I had Bryce Harper. He did not go yard, which means he'll go yard today. So I'm going to go Jordan Alvarez instead against Eli Morgan. And Dan, who are you taking today?
I'm taking Bryce Harper, who I would have probably taken yesterday had you not taken him. But yes, I think he'll go today. But it's funny, Joe, when I was looking at the slate, I wrote down two names, and I said, I think you and I have been doing this long enough where we know where it's going. And I said, he's going to take either Alvarez or Harper. I'm going to take the other one. I looked, you had Alvarez. I will take Harper. So I think we're both going to hit.
And Joey Votto went yard yesterday.
Yes, Joey Votto went yard.
That was not lost on me. I sat down, and as soon as I sat down to watch that game, I saw, oh, there goes Joey Votto.
Yep.
All right, real quick, too. I think I missed this, but let's get to the lineup builders before we close things out today. Trevor Larnach and FanDuel, 2-4. Andrew Vaughn, same price there. Josh Bell, if he's in the lineup, also 2-4. Brett Gardner, 2.1. Didi, 2.7. On DK, Gardner as well. Kirilloff as well. Larnach as well. Andrew Vaughn and Miles Straw. Free square, 2.0. Miles Straw makes everything work tonight at 2.0. That's a free square. Take it in that lineup. Maybe he gets a couple runs scored or something like that, or a stolen base. That would be fun. Dan Harris, your final thoughts, and let's try to leave things off on a high note, not a downer, please.
I'm so excited for today's baseball. I love everything. Everybody is good at baseball. Everybody is going to remain healthy. We're all going to hit our home run calls tonight. Yay.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. The power of positivity. All right, that'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Dinger Dan, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.